Hi guys and welcome to my review of the Dell Venue 8 708040. It is not Dell's first Android tablet, but it's the first attempt to build a premium tablet. If this plan worked out, we'll see after my full review. Let's damn it. Let's start off and talk about the design and the build quality. And I want to get the most obvious thing out of the way first. With only 6mm, it is the thinnest tablet of the world, and with only 305 grams, it is also one of the most lightweight ones as well. But that's definitely not all. We have a very distinctive design, with 3 sides being almost completely bezel-less, and therefore one quite big bezel with the speaker and the camera. Now, a few people could think this whole thing doesn't work out so well in terms of ergonomics, but actually I have to disagree. On the back we have a strip of glass that provides you with so much more grip than the quite slippery aluminum. Holding on to this strip of glass allowed me for a very secure and easy use in portrait mode. I had no issues with touching the screen or any other sort of issue. Portrait mode worked just fine. Using it in landscape mode was a little bit more tricky for me, being a lefty and holding it with the right hand. Due to the big bezel, I could still hold onto it nicely, not blocking the speaker, so that wasn't the issue. The quite uncommon button placement though was a bit more annoying. I did activate either the power button or the volume rocker quite a few times. The buttons itself work very nice though, with a nice tactile and clicky feedback. If you hold the device with your right hand though, all of those issues are non-existent, with the buttons now being at the top. Going around to the tablet now, we see the micro USB at the bottom along with the headphone jack. The RealSense camera can be found on the back, otherwise that's pretty much it. In terms of build quality, things couldn't possibly be any better. The aluminum and glass are crafted extremely well, all edges are rounded off very nice, giving the tablet a wonderful polished look and feel in the hand. I would even call it superior to the iPad, maybe not the design itself, but definitely when it comes to the build quality. It feels extremely solid and substantial despite being so thin and compact. In the end, this means best in class build paired with a still very solid and better working design than expected at first glance. We have an 8.4-inch OLED display with a resolution of 2516 by 1440. Everything is extremely sharp and there is no unnecessary over-sharpening, and that is simply amazing. The display itself maybe is not super bright, but definitely more than good enough for indoor use. The white is quite obviously on the warmer yellow side, something that you can get used to, but something that could even be a deal breaker for some others. Blacks are perfectly pitch black with an awesome contrast ratio, even though quite a lot of details get lost in darker scenes, most noticeably in videos, which makes you want to crank up the brightness to accommodate for that minor weakness. Colors are extremely oversaturated and slightly too much. Skin tones look like just there was too much use of makeup. This is not really for people who want something accurate. The viewing angles are just fine, there's only a minimal color and brightness shift present. Don't get me wrong, this is complaining on the highest possible level in the end. This display makes it easily into the top 5, if not top 3. There's an amazing potential due to the OLED technology, only ever so slightly wasted because of the slightly off calibration and yellow-white. It is soundcheck time and I will give you the demo first with Max Audio off and then with Max Audio on, and I will also block the speaker for you to feel the difference. Here is the microphone, let's start with the demo. Before I'm going to tell you my opinion, let's check the software real quick. Here in the notification bar you have the option to enable and disable Max Audio, and if we go into the app itself, you can see you have 4 presets for a movie, maybe for music, podcast and for gaming, and you also have max bass, max treble, max volume, max dialogue, and you can shift the balance, and there is also an equalizer. If you take right use of that, you can really improve the sound because every preset has its purpose. And with, for example, the right Max Audio preset, you can get a better stereo effect because you maybe saw we only have one speaker here on the side, and of course you only get a mono effect. But I actually think the stereo effect was quite nice with the right preset. But the best thing here is the maximum volume. It is pretty much the loudest tablet I've heard so far. Okay, I never heard the Nvidia Shield tablet, but this one is very loud and I never even used 100% most of the time, and that is a really great bonus. As for the sound itself, there is a little bit of bass, the mids are slightly weaker than that and the highs are quite nice, even though slightly sharp, but The whole experience is a really great one, and I would even say the best on a small tablet and maybe even the best on a big tablet, because it was just very loud and that is important for me, and the sound wasn't bad either. Okay, it's time to check the performance and see what the Intel Z3580 is able to deliver. And as you can see here, the scrolling in the browser is absolutely smooth. It is maybe not on lollipop level, but it is still on a very high KitKat level. I would say a Snapdragon 801 should be about its mark. As you can see here, also apps like, for example, here a Twitter app, very smooth. Also, for example, Google, not that smooth, but of course, you know, Google is very resource intensive and it just needs more power, but it still works quite nice. The multitasking itself, as you can see, there is a little bit of a delay, but it's actually quite nice and I don't really see any problems here at all. It works, everything quite nice. The app launch times itself are a bit on the slower side, but also I don't have the fastest internet right now and it needs maybe access some things, but it works actually quite good. Let's check, for example, this. And as you can see, it works quite nice. So the performance within the apps, within the system is great. If you check the gaming performance just real quick now, you can see it is quite smooth, but I've also seen already a few devices out there that are faster. The performance itself could be a little bit better. The frame rates do drop a little bit from time to time, but in general it is quite okay. But I've also noticed that the gaming compatibility isn't the best, but I will talk about that later in the software section. Everything in this review up to this point was on a very high level. Can the same thing be said about the battery? Let's check the charging times first. 1 hour of charging gets you to about 30%, 2 hours and you are at 50%, and after 4 hours of charging you are at 100%, which in my opinion is a little bit long, but therefore the battery life makes up for it more than enough. With a standby drain of about 1% every 4 hours, I was extremely impressed, because especially for an Android device, this is extremely respectable. But the screen on time itself wasn't any less respectable, because I got, over the course of 1 day, 9 hours of screen on time with about 50%, which was more than bright enough for me. And over the course of 2 days, I got 7.5 hours of screen on time. So I would expect people to get 2 or 3 days of use out of this device. And this, for a small tablet, especially as thin and lightweight as this one, is pretty much the best outcome I've ever seen. And the only other 2 devices I know of that are getting close to these outcomes are the Sony Xperia Tablet Z2 and the Lenovo 1080 Plus, which are big tablets with 10 inches. This one is only 8.4 and is by far the best small tablet in terms of battery life I've ever seen so far. Let's check the software and see what we've got. We are running Android 4.4.4, but I was promised it will definitely get Lollipop, and the developers are working as fast as possible to get it done. Otherwise, what we get here is a very stock-like experience, only with a few design elements changed and a few additions like sensor calibration, Intel Smart Video and flip to silence. The rest is very stock-like. As you can see here, the drawer, here as well the quick settings, also the recent apps, the launcher itself also looks like it would look on a stock ROM, also the drawer. So as you can see, beside a few design changes, everything is very stock-like. And it is also running very solid. But due to the use of the Intel CPU, there are a few, I would like to call it, compatibility issues. Apps like Real Racing 3 were a little bit janky. There were a few glitches there. GT Racing didn't work at all. And these are things not caused by this system itself, by this device, because I had the same issues on other Intel devices itself. Only thing I noticed on this particular CPU not to work was Splashtop, because all I got was a pink screen. So I would say, if you want the best compatibility, because Intel CPUs just don't have the same compatibility, go for something known from Qualcomm with a Snapdragon. But if you are okay with the few things that maybe don't work here, you will get a great performance. Still, the only thing I would wish for is to get Lollipop, because once it gets Lollipop, it will have the smoothness of Lollipop with the few additions that really made Lollipop nicer. Keep this in mind, the compatibility is a little bit of an issue, otherwise stability, system speed, performance, and the whole experience are pretty much the same as stock Android and absolutely fine. So it just needs Lollipop to get even better. Before I'm going to draw the line, recap first. Design, best in class, paired with great ergonomics and only slightly weaker button placement. Display, absolutely fantastic besides the fact of over-the-top calibration and slightly yellow whites, but therefore very sharp, amazing black levels and great contrast levels. As for the sound, very loud. not maybe super rich, but in overall that's a great job done, and I would say it is definitely the best small tablet sound, if not the best sound, period. As for the performance, absolutely convincing, maybe not mind-blowing or incredible, but it did get a fine job done. Absolutely no problems with it at all. Games were fine, but not on the highest level, still good. As for the battery life, one of the highlights here of this device, 2 days, 3 days of use, no problems here at all. Pretty much the best battery life out there on any tablet, definitely for a smaller tablet. The software itself was solid, but due to the Intel chipset that was used, a little bit issues with compatibility and so on, so keep that in mind. That is definitely an issue, but once it gets Lollipop, the whole software experience will be even better. So are there any viable competitors out there? I would say in my opinion it is the Sony Xperia Tablet Z3 Compact and the Nvidia Shield. Where I see this superior is display, build quality and sound. Where the Shield could be superior is definitely gaming performance and overall performance. Also maybe the software because it already has Lollipop and the Sony Xperia Tablet Z3 has as well. In terms of performance I would see this one very close to the Sony Xperia Z3. The only thing right now what I would like to say is wait a little bit until the price drops close to 300 and once it finally gets Lollipop, because then it gets my fullest recommendation until a few minor things are sorted out. Because the question is it the best Android tablet out there right now? And I would say it is the best small Android tablet after all, because the display, the hardware and the sound is just so great that I can live with the few compromises of the less amazing performance and less updated software. This was my review of the Dell Venue 8 708040. If you liked it, please rate, comment and subscribe. And otherwise, until next time, bye. I'll be back.